The Rabbi's Tarot, page 1. The Fool. Or I may go back. The Fool card. First Hebrew letter, Aleph. Symbol for breath of life. Element attributed to air. Color, bright pale yellow. Numerical value, the number 1. Symbol, capital A-L-F. A-L-P, Sound, E natural. Planet, Uranus. Translation, ox or bull. Sign of the zodiac, Taurus. The Fool. In order to recognize and utilize the information imparted by Hebrew letter, you must become familiar not only with the outline, but also with the attributions assigned to them. This list of attributes you must memorize. The attributes of the first Hebrew letter are as follows. Aleph, spelled in Hebrew A-L-P, meaning ox. It is called a mother letter, of which there are 3 in Hebrew. 1 for fire, 1 for water, and 1 for air. The Hebrew wisdom considers earth but a condensation of fire, water, and air. Hence, there is no mother letter for the element of earth. Aleph is the sign or symbol of the life breath, called in Hebrew Ruach, R-U-A-C-H. All languages designate the spirit by a word meaning the air which we breathe. Spirit comes from a Latin root meaning to breathe, as does the symbol for the life breath. Aleph stands for the element of air, the fiery intelligence, the planet Uranus, the color light yellow, and the note E natural. Its numerical value is the number 1. All the Hebrew letters have an outer value and a secret value. They communicate their mystic message by their shape and relation to other shapes, by the object they stand for, and by numerical values. The letter Aleph is a synthesis of an entire Hebrew alphabet, and the card it goes with, the Fool, is a synthesis of the entire tarot table, or set of trumps. I must look that up to see how that's pronounced. The slanting parallelogram, slanted downward, represents the physical plane, or the threefold personality. Into this streams downward the superconscious and upward the subconscious. The two are really the same thing, differentiated only by the point of the self-conscious. In the same way, a curve is concave or convex merely from the direction you look at it. Our bodies are submerged in a sea of subconscious mind stuff. The mystic raises his vibration, or has it raised, and ascends into the superconscious. The occultist deliberately raises his vibration and descends into the other on the way back, just as 2 travelers, one going east and the other going west, must meet each other if they girdle the globe. What we call the self-conscious is merely that in us which is aware of wills. By will, we mean the right of choice. The intellect is not the will, but merely the agent through which the will becomes aware of what is going on in the body and in the outside world. Hence, the intellect is what determines the will or choice upon its course. The numeration of the letter Aleph is 1. It is the one, the I am, the absolute, the concealed, the one muffled in mystery, who descends into the subconscious to discover the laws of being and becoming, and with this knowledge, he may throw off the bonds of matter and rise again to his own plane. The figure 1 and the letter 1 have the same meaning. The I am, who is manifest on the heaven plane or upon the earth plane as the personality of yourself, the potential I am. In the card for the Fool, you have a picture of the I am descending into matter and the equipment he brings with him to ascend again out of it. This type of intelligence is called the cultural intelligence. He who descends into matter ascends again out of it by self-cultivation. First, through the cultivation he receives by the education of nature. Secondly, by the advanced cultivation he receives through group living, by what we call civilization and all its instrumentalities, government, philosophy, art, religion. And third, by taking himself in hand when he has reached the point in evolution where he feels the compelling urge to do so, he speeds up his evolution by intensive work upon his organism as a practical occultist or mystic. Always from the beginning, we feel the urge in us for self-cultivation, which in the end takes us back to our source. Why do we feel it? Because the fool brings his vision down with him. All the pioneers of the world, the teachers, the artists, the doers, have been those whom their sensible neighbors called fools. Why? Because these fools were unaccountably willing to put aside acquisition of pleasure for the sake of a vision as yet unrealized. When it became realized at last, their neighbors hastened to say how wise they were and that they had known they had something in them which would at last work out. To be working and sacrificing for what does not exist yet sounds foolish to most people. It is not until the inventor can make a physical plane invention that works, until the businessman or the promoter can objectify his scheme, that people are willing to call him practical. Before that, he was a visionary. It is claimed that the tarot, if properly applied, will help you to objectify your dreams. The wisdom of the practical man concerns itself entirely with the sensory level, with things. There is an occult proverb which says that unless wisdom gets beyond this level, it is not wisdom at all. The wisdom of men, says the proverb, is foolish to the gods. What the gods call wisdom is a manner of thinking employed by the fool in his picture, the higher self. Whatever helps the personality towards the final accomplishment of the fool, his vision is wisdom. Whatever does not is foolishness. If a man would be wise in the God sense, he must reach up and tap the subjective level of consciousness. That subjective level is represented by the fool in this card. Descending into matter with his eye on his distant vision and with confident expectation of realizing it in the end. The symbol in this card suggests to you what that vision is and tells you definitely how you can set about realizing it, and that you have in yourself all of the power to do this. You are composed of innumerable subconscious elements. Each cell and group of cells in your body performs its specialized work in the whole organism. There is nothing to direct to make the whole organism work as one except you, the creative will, the self-conscious. Although it can perform all the marvelous processes of your body, the subconscious has not the least idea how to direct your life. Only the creative will can do that. With the intellect as its agent, it is reluctant, hostile agent at first because it prefers the satisfaction of the present and objects to sacrificing them for the future. Tarot is a vehicle for widening your channel, for increasing the perceptions of your present personality, for developing a higher personality even of the same type. It is a vehicle for impressing your subconscious by the attitude of your creative will that she, the subconscious, will do for you what it is powerless to do for itself except at second hand. Change your body. But you yourself must start this process and keep it going. And unless you start it, it never started. You start it and keep it going by constantly looking within at your visions. Symbolism. It is necessary to formulate your own vision. What is it that you want most of the world? First, let us see what is the vision of the fool. It is out of sight. But in two other cards, we see what occupies that upper corner. The angel, the perfect man. Not present day man, but a man when he shall have become perfected. What the mystics and occultists call the Superman, which the religions and scriptures call the angel. How does man become perfected? Man becomes perfected only by perfecting himself. The rose in the other hand of the fool tells you how he perfects himself. The rose, with all the people, even the most primitive, has always been the symbol of desire. That is a white rose. The symbol, how do you purify desire? We purify desire by the balanced actions of the conscious and the subconscious. This is pictured by two leaves, out of which the white rose springs. The leaves are threefold. 3 is a creative number symbolizing the father, mother, and child. 3 is also the number of man's bodies, in each of which we must purify desire, appetite, and emotion. The first for the physical body, the second for the astral body, and the third for the mental body. The whole object of tarot is to tell you the mechanics of purifying the desire and of securing the balanced reciprocal creation of the higher consciousness and the subconscious. The higher self thinks that desire, which approximates his own wise desire, the higher self thinks that a desire which approximates his own desire, a desire which is dictated by appetite, emotion, and ambition alone, is a foolish desire. You are like a plant, a germinating seed, which finds in the earth in which it is planted the juices that will enable the growth according to its pattern. It selects those juices and those only. Exercise the entire intensity of your mind in the building of your image, and imagine an image of yourself in action doing your chosen work. If the highest image you can make yourself want to construct is to have and to get something, then go ahead. We can evolve only by desire. But that desire, be that desire what it will. No matter what desire we cherish, it is but a stepping stone to a higher one, meaning, meanwhile, we must step up on the thing that we are keyed to at the time. Think carefully whether the acquisition you think you must have is really the inmost cravings of your heart. For through for though you grow by it, whatever it is, remember that you may come to your own growth by pain and suffering because you have gotten what you wanted. Recall the most of the folklore tales, which are simply little dramatizations put forth by teachers of the race of the ageless wisdom, are about bad wishes gratified when the wisher had a chance to make a better one. In the fairy tales, it was a fairy godmother who granted wishes. Your subconscious is your fairy godmother who will bring about your wish if you are wholeheartedly centered upon it and bend your mind to it. If you choose badly, it will mean, for the time, a frustration of higher things. But in the economy of the higher self, low desires have their place as well as higher ones. It is necessary for you to go through the lower in order to get to the higher. The highest wish man is capable of making is stated in general terms in the Lord's Prayer. In his personal aspect, the God to whom we pray is the higher self of the mystic and occultist. We pray to the higher self that his kingdom may come, his will be done in earth as it is in heaven. Earth means the physical body, the seat of our personality. May we permit him to do his will in us on our plane as it is done his on his own plane, which is the religionist calls heaven. His plane is the golden plane. Tarot and the secret wisdom of the Hebrews condensed the 7 planes of the Hindu teachings into 3. These 3 planes are subdivided so to include the 7 planes of the Hindu. There is the first and highest, the great spiritual plane, the great mental plane, and the great physical plane. The white sun symbolizes the spiritual or white plane from which the food of God is sent forth down into the mental or golden plane. He is leaving the golden plane and is about to descend as the personality into the great physical plane, stretching up beyond the physical plane into the mental plane or the heights of abstract thought. These are the last thing the fool leaves behind him on his way into the lowest grade of matter. Also, as the human personality ascends out of the lowest grade of matter in self-identification with him, these peaks of abstract thought are the first thing it encounters on its heavenward journey. The peaks are white because the abstract thought is a characteristic of the white plane of spirit. It is the golden plane of the mind in which abstract thought becomes concrete. The subjective thought becomes objective. Whenever you see white in these cards, it means belonging to abstract thought or the spiritual plane. Our business is to bring the spiritual plane down to our personality. In this next card, you will see the magician doing this. Below the shelf on which the fool is standing, just about to step off the denser plane, is a blue middle region with 2 mountain peaks. This blue region pictures the information which we receive in our sleep, whose source is the cosmic memory. This is depicted by the card called the High Priestess, the card following the magician. The twin peaks are wisdom and understanding. These 2 words are synonymous in English, but in Hebrew they are differentiated. The text in Proverbs says, "Get wisdom, and with all thy getting, get understanding." We shall go into the precise difference later. At present, it is sufficient to say that the wisdom refers to the cosmic memory and understanding refers to the imagination. The shelf in which the food is standing about to step off is made up of the shape of a crescent. Whenever you see a crescent in these cards, it designates the subconscious. Matter is really the subconscious. But the only way the card can deliver the message to you is to represent the fool as doing what he is about to do. Note the peculiar color of the formation of the shelf. It is largely reddish, shading into a yellow, into gray, and the shelf is of a flaky formation. The colors in these cards are vital to their meaning. Yellow is the color of the mind. Gray is the color of the mineral and stands for the stone or the physical world. Red stands for desire and action. All action is prompted by desire, and if there was no desire, we would never act. The color symbolism of the shelf means that we can flake off our subconscious or make the matter which composes it less and less dense by desiring and action, instigated by the self-conscious, which is the mind. This process is called alchemy. And alchemy is the object of tarot exercises. The object of any system is to replace the grosser matter in our bodies with matter more and more refined. By doing this, you bring in more and more of the white and blue in this picture, or in the theological terms, more and more of the Spirit and the Holy Ghost. You know that the boots of the fool, as he plunges down into matter, are yellow. The symbolism here is that the mind is the guide of our feet, telling where to plant our next step. As the fool descends into matter, his gaze is fixed on his vision of a perfected man, which he knows nothing can frustrate. That is why his attitude shows buoyant confidence. Begin your impersonation of the fool by impersonating his attitude. In order to make contact with your real and limited resources, you must first of all believe that they are accessible and that you can learn how to use them. You must have a definite objective, a vision of something beyond your present place in life. This requires imagination. Do you see now what the Bible means when it says, get wisdom, and with all your wisdom get understanding? Understanding concerns the imagination. Get a vision. The little dog represents the purified intellect, the little dog. The intellect that has abandoned all of its earthly estimates of success and substituted instead the fool's idea of success. Note that he is halfway over the abyss and does not know it, for his adoring eyes are solely upon his master's, just as his master's eyes are solely upon his vision. The real man is above the intellect, and the intellect should only be his agent. When the intellect is in its proper place, it is devoted to its master. Otherwise, it thinks it is the master. Neither sees the abyss yawning at their feet. As long as they keep their eyes where they belong, they will never see it and will never reach it. The life power is coming down into the flesh. To do that, he must put on a robe of ignorance. Black in these cards represents ignorance at its lower level. And at its higher level, the superconscious perception that comes from occult practice is the result. The inner lining of the robe is red, signifying desire and action that springs from that desire. The desire is the sole reason of evolution, and only by renewing desire can we evolve. His innermost garment is the white of the spirit. This symbolism is very significant. No matter how unevolved or how sunk in materiality we are, there is always something in our heart of hearts that tells us of our origin and urges us forward to our untimely destiny, which is to be one with the Father. Whether we are in ignorance of it or whether we know the mystic perception, we live in consequence of the laws of life, power, and by our use of these laws are indicated by the figure in his robe. There are eight spoked wheels, each surrounding by 7 trefoils. The yellow wheels are the radiant solar energy, the fundamental characteristics of which is rotary motion. The wheel is yellow to represent the physical sun. The red spokes are the 8 forms of energy. Light in action, therefore, is the meaning of the wheel or conscious energy. There are 8 wheels, and in addition, 2 red and yellow figures. The Hebrew wisdom teaches that for creation, there were 10 instantaneous emanations of the life power. They correspond to the great laws of nature, working on all planes and exhibiting in forms appropriate to each plane. The philosophical terms for these are expressed as follows. Number 1, will. The life power is, in itself, both unmanifested and manifested. The only will. When manifested, it produces the universe. Number 2, wisdom. It is the unfailing wisdom which knows every principle of reality. Number 3, understanding. It is the perfect understanding of every condition and situation. Number 4, substance. It is the limitless substance from which all forms are built. Number 5, law. It is the absolute law which operates without deviation. Number 6, beauty. It is always working towards beauty, though through stages of temporary ugliness. Number 7, victory. It is a power which cannot fail in victory. Number 8, glory or splendor. It is that whose self-expression is glory or splendor. 9, foundation or basis. It is the basis or foundation of all human, subhuman, and superhuman expression of activity. Number 10, kingdom. And it is that which manifests itself in perfect order or kingdom. Around the 8th wheel of the solar energy, which ornament the robe of the fool, are 7 trefoils for each wheel. These represent the 7 great phases of life power activity, and they correspond to the 7 centers of the body. The object of studying tarot and of any form of occult concentration and meditation is to make these centers work properly. This is one of the most important occult secrets and endeavors. Thus, the wheels on the robe indicate 8 aspects of the life power, which each manifesting in the 8 different forms and through 7 phases of activity. There are 2 figures on his robe, quite different from the wheels. One is on the chest and the other is on the thigh. These 2 figures represent 2 great changes in the body, which accompany a third great change in the head. The 3 being the object of practical occultists. And the 3 being the object of a practical occultist, and the final goal of his work upon his own organism, the work of alchemy. All these changes are worked automatically by the subconscious. They are all accomplished by balancing of the conscious and the subconscious, portrayed by 2 balanced leaves of the white rose in the fool's hand. They come along with or as a consequence of what the mystic or occultist calls lifting the sex force from the head. This is typified in the picture by the red feather waving from the fool's head. It is the wing feather of the eagle. The feather is red to represent action and desire, for the perception is not static but active and productive. One of the things it does is to open the wallet of the cosmic subconscious. This is depicted by the eagle-shaped bag at the end of the wand, which the fool carries on his shoulders. The open eye on the flap of the wallet also has many deep mystic meanings. The one that concerns us here is vision, the eye of imagination that unlocks the treasure house or wallet of the subconscious. The wand by which the fool carries the wallet is black tipped with red. This means the wallet is opened by practical occultism, by occult practice and the making of images. The headdress, out of which waves the red feathers, tells the same story. The headdress is a wreath of plaited green leaves, and green is color symbology of the tarot, stands for creative imagination. The image is made by the self-conscious mind. It is carried out and created in matter by the subconscious mind. If you will look carefully, you will detect that the plaiting of the leaves from 2 vertical figure 8s. These figures designate the transformation of self-conscious and the transformed subconscious. The subconscious thus transforms him after he has equipped her with the power to do so. As a result of the double transformation comes the mingling of 2 streams of consciousness depicted in card 14. The mingling is performed by the higher self in the thighs. The second result is that the heart is changed from involuntary or feminine organ into a volitional or masculine organ. You will see this latter result quaintly depicted in many sculptures in the cathedrals of Europe, where a saint carries his head in his hand over his heart. It means, in exact terms, that the head now has become the heart, and the heart has become his head. That is, the head no longer takes the initiative, but carries out the instructions of the heart. To allow it to do so before both have been transformed is lunacy. Finally, around the waist of the fool is the belt of the zodiac. This typifies time and space. The divine spark must necessarily limit itself in order to manifest. Nothing can be manifested without a body, and a body means limitation. The white sun has 14 rays. 14 is the concealed value of Heh, and the value of the Hebrew name for God, Id, the Almighty Hand. Another divine name is Al, meaning strength, and the value is 31. 14 times 31 equals 434, or the value of the letter named Daleth, the process whereby the life power manifests into images. 14 is also the number of cards that make up each suit of the tarot. Thus, each suit of the tarot tells how the Almighty Hand reached down and manifested itself, its potency, one each of the four planes, which designated the passing down of the archetype images through the creative, formative worlds into the physical world. Creation began with the letter Heh, that's H-E-H, in the mystic statement whose Heh value is 14. There are 8 forms of energy, and each form of energy goes through 7 phases corresponding to the 7 chakras. Make a little picture of the fool as you study this card. Get into the habit of making mental pictures of these cards. Try to recall them when you are relaxed, in a relaxed state. Try to recall everything that is on the card until the card has impressed itself truly into your memory. Tarot, like every other form of education, it returns you to precisely in proportion what you give it. The study of the roots of words is very fascinating and very astounding. How do words come to have the roots they have? Roots which often seem entirely disconnected from the present meaning. Philologists explain this disconnection by saying that the connecting links have dropped out and the words have, by usage, become to have other meanings than those originally intended. In general, that is true, but not always. The truth is that all languages in their fundamental meanings were invented by occultists. We have many words that have secret meanings, meanings which lie under their surface